Consider the staggering scale of modern technology companies. Their monthly active users outnumber the populations of entire continents, and their annual revenues regularly dwarf the gross domestic product of mid-sized nations. For years, political scientists have argued that these multinational corporations have evolved into a new kind of power structure, so-called digital sovereigns. The theory suggests that platforms like Google, Amazon, and Meta have become a modern Leviathan, operating above the reach of traditional borders. But if we look at how these companies actually navigate the global system, that absolute autonomy looks more like a carefully marketed illusion. Despite their vast wealth and their much-cited first-mover advantage, tech giants operate in a reactive posture. Every algorithm they deploy and every product they launch is eventually boxed in by the legal requirements of physical countries. Sovereignty hasn't vanished. In the digital age, nation-states remain the primary architects of the landscape these corporations inhabit. The most extreme exercise of this power is total market denial. Through the legislative and technological wall of the Great Firewall, China has completely blocked major Western tech platforms like Facebook since 2009. That single state action severed Facebook from over 1 billion potential users. By 2015, the ban had cost the company an estimated $5 billion in annual revenue, proving that geographic boundaries still dictate corporate success. The government filled the vacuum it created by fostering domestic alternatives. By shutting out foreign competition, it allowed state-sanctioned platforms like WeChat and Weibo to amass over 1 billion users in a tightly controlled ecosystem. A government's decision to sever access can instantly transform a global juggernaut into a strictly regional player. Europe takes a different approach. The European Union typically avoids blunt force bans, choosing instead to bind tech giants with complex, supranational legislative frameworks like the GDPR. This line graph tracks GDPR enforcement from 2018 to 2023. The blue line shows state authorities extracting over 4 billion euros in financial penalties. The bar chart below shows these penalties are concentrated on the largest players, subjecting even powerful firms to capital extractions. But the deeper exercise of power is forcing these corporations to rewrite their code. To stay in the market, tech companies had to build mandatory cookie consent and data transparency protocols directly into their user interface. The EU demonstrates that states don't just tax big tech, they possess the structural authority to force corporations to redesign their own products. Globally, antitrust investigations have become the weapon of choice for states, like the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, to restrict monopolistic behavior. Amazon, for example, faced scrutiny over its buy box algorithm, which regulators argued gave the company an unfair advantage over third-party sellers on its own platform. Under regulatory pressure, Amazon was forced to alter that algorithm to treat all sellers equally. The state effectively dismantled a core competitive advantage designed by the company's own engineers. These actions show that corporate innovation cannot outrun state compliance. National frameworks form the unbreachable boundaries of any business model. We map this dynamic through the Stackelberg game diagram. Big tech acts as the leader, making the first move by choosing their technological innovation level. The state sits below as the follower, observing impacts and choosing regulation to impose, which determines the final payoffs. This model reverses our common understanding of the first-mover advantage. Because the state responds last, it holds the structural power to set the rules and dictate the final outcome. This enables state opportunism. As this pie chart shows, governments don't just regulate to stop negative impacts in orange, they also strategically exploit the positive innovations in green, co-opting big tech's infrastructure for their own security or political objectives. The borderless expansion of big tech was predicted to erode national sovereignty. In practice, that same expansion has provided states with new tools for oversight and extraction. The digital age hasn't replaced traditional governments, it expanded their reach. The digital landscape is still a territory defined, drawn, and policed by sovereign nations.